The Manhattan skyline stretches out before you, and you can easily spot the Freedom Tower in the World Trade Center complex at a glance. Do you know what the oldest living thing in New York's World Trade Center area is? It is a pear tree called the Survivor Tree, first planted in the 1970s, that survived the 9/11 attacks. If the tree could speak, it would tell you that it witnessed the Twin Towers rise from the ground to 110 floors and then, 30 years later, returned to ground zero after the 9/11 attack. It also witnessed how the new surrounding towers have risen once again, marking New York's skyline. The Survivor Tree is a living link to the significant and often difficult events that have occurred in the World Trade Center area. In today's video, we will explore the journey of the World Trade Center complex's development. Pre-WTC 1.0. Manhattan's skyline is more than just a testament to ambition. It's literally built on solid ground. In both Midtown and downtown Manhattan, the bedrock lies closer to the surface, allowing these areas to become the city's major business districts, with skyscrapers that define the iconic New York skyline. The World Trade Center area, which we are discussing today, is located in downtown Manhattan. This area, where these iconic towers now stand, was once submerged in water and part of the Hudson River hundreds of years ago. In the 17th century, after Europeans set foot on Manhattan and mapped it as New Netherland, downtown Manhattan was named New Amsterdam. It quickly became a vital trading hub thanks to its prime location near the harbor. As New York City expanded, this bustling area grew into the heart of business activity, laying the foundation for the city's future. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and a new commercial center was starting to rise, Midtown. The opening of Grand Central Terminal in 1913 was a game changer, drawing businesses to the area. Soon after, iconic skyscrapers like the Chrysler Building in 1930 and the Empire State Building in 1931 soared to new heights, becoming the world's tallest buildings and solidifying Midtown as the epicenter of New York's business world. By the mid-20th century, downtown Manhattan was beginning to fade. While Midtown flourished with new developments, Wall Street and the financial district remained stuck in time. Almost no new construction had taken place since the 1920s, leaving the area cramped, dirty, and congested. As David Rockefeller put it, it was easy to understand why so many banks, insurance companies, and other corporations had left the area. David Rockefeller, one of the key visionaries behind the development of the World Trade Center complex, was determined to change that. With a bold plan in mind, he stepped in, aiming to revitalize the financial district, restore downtown Manhattan's former glory, and create a global hub for commerce. David Rockefeller, the grandson of John D. Rockefeller, the legendary founder of Standard Oil, came from a family whose fortune made them America's first billionaires. With their wealth and influence, the Rockefellers played a key role in shaping the country's history. Their legacy includes Rockefeller Center, famous for its dazzling Christmas tree each year, a story we'll dive into in a future episode. When David Rockefeller set out to build a new headquarters for Chase Manhattan Bank, his vision extended beyond the boundaries of a single city block. He dreamed of revitalizing all of Lower Manhattan. In 1958, Rockefeller founded the Downtown Lower Manhattan Association, DLMA, with a bold mission to transform Lower Manhattan into a global hub of commerce. Rockefeller commissioned Skidmore, Owings and Merrill to draft a plan for the revitalization of Lower Manhattan. The plan, unveiled in June 1960, envisioned a grand World Trade Center on a 13-acre site along the East River, near the South Street seaport. This strategic location would link the seaport to Wall Street, positioning the World Trade Center as the new epicenter of global trade. The proposed complex would be built on a two-story platform that would supersede the traditional street grid. The ambitious plan included a 900-foot-long exhibition hall, a 70-story hotel and office tower, and other amenities such as a theater, shops, and restaurants. The project also envisioned a new securities exchange building, which the DLMA hoped would become the home of the New York Stock Exchange. However, bringing this grand vision to life was no simple task. It required substantial financial backing. That's when the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey stepped in. They had the financial power to make the bold idea a reality and seemed like the perfect partner. But the project couldn't move forward without approval from both New York and New Jersey, and not everyone agreed. New Jersey Governor Robert Maynard had serious concerns about the original plan to build the World Trade Center on Manhattan's east side, as it would inconvenience New Jersey commuters using the Hudson and Manhattan tubes on the west side. He questioned why New Jersey should support the project without gaining any direct benefit. He suggested that the Port Authority take over the bankrupt Hudson and Manhattan Railroad, H&M, in exchange for his support of the World Trade Center project. At the time, the H&M's Hudson Terminal, an aging office complex on Manhattan's Lower West Side, was located in a declining neighborhood called Radio Row. With fewer transportation options and the H&M going under, the terminal and its surrounding land became prime real estate for redevelopment. As discussions progressed, the Port Authority identified a new site on Manhattan's west side near the Hudson River. This location offered several key advantages. The outdated Hudson terminal could be replaced with modern office buildings. A new railway terminal would be built. And most importantly, the World Trade Center could be constructed without objections from New Jersey. Finally, on January 22, 1962, an agreement was reached between the two states. The Port Authority was given the green light to build the World Trade Center on Manhattan's Lower West Side. But progress came at a price. To make room for the grand new complex, the historic businesses in Radio Row would need to be displaced, marking the end of an era for the once thriving district. The Battle of Radio Row and the Port Authority. From the 1920s through the early 1960s, Radio Row in Lower Manhattan was the go-to destination for radios, phonographs, and all things electronics. It wasn't just a shopping district, it was a thriving community where small businesses flourished and neighbors shared close bonds. In the late 1950s, when the Port Authority announced plans to tear down Radio Row to build the World Trade Center, the community pushed back hard. For many of the shop owners, some of whom had been there for decades, Radio Row wasn't just their business. It was their way of life and a piece of New York City's character. Protests erupted and legal battles followed as residents and business owners fought to save their neighborhood from being overtaken by large-scale development. Despite their efforts, the Port Authority ultimately won the battle. In 1966, the demolition of Radio Row began, clearing the way for the World Trade Center. The once bustling sounds of crackling radios and lively commerce fell silent as nearly 13 acres of businesses and homes were wiped away, bringing an era to a close. WTC 1.0. Following the approval of the World Trade Center project in 1962, the Port Authority began searching for an architect. The candidates included renowned figures like I.M. Pei, Philip Johnson, and the Architects Collaborative led by Walter Gropius, along with younger firms like Carson, London and Shaw, Kelly and Grusin, and Minoru Yamasaki Associates. Surprisingly, Mies van der Rohe wasn't on the list, mainly because the Port Authority thought he was too old to see the project through, which unfortunately turned out to be true. In the end, the job went to Minoru Yamasaki Associates, a relatively small firm based near Detroit. Yamasaki had gained some recognition for his work on the U.S. Science Pavilion at the 1962 Seattle World's Fair and was known for his intricate, small-scale designs. The choice was a bit unexpected, given the enormous scale of the World Trade Center. In his autobiography, Yamasaki remembers joking about the project's $280 million budget, assuming someone had accidentally added an extra zero, only to be told it was no mistake. Since Yamasaki's firm was small and not based in New York, the Port Authority also brought in Emery Roth and Sons, a New York firm known for their space-efficient designs, as associate architects. They would later lead the design for World Trade Center 7 in the 1980s. The Port Authority's main requirement was for the World Trade Center to include 10 million square feet of office space, all built over a mass transit hub. Yamasaki spent most of 1963 refining his ideas, going back and forth with the Port Authority through over 100 different design iterations. Finally, on January 18, 1964, Yamasaki's design was revealed to the public, accompanied by an impressive 8-foot model. His vision wasn't just about creating a complex of buildings. It was about symbolizing world peace, unity, and the power of international trade to bring people together. The plan called for consolidating multiple city blocks into a single superblock, featuring 2 towering 110-story skyscrapers and several smaller buildings, all centered around a 5-acre plaza. Underground, there would be a new path station, a shopping concourse with restaurants, and a 2,000-car parking garage. By 1965, as plans evolved, the estimated cost of the project had ballooned to $525 million, creating the world's tallest buildings. To accommodate the 10 million square feet of office space requested by the Port Authority, the World Trade Center's design incorporated advanced engineering techniques. Traditionally, skyscrapers relied on a grid of interior columns to support the building's weight, which disrupted floor space. However, the frame tube concept was introduced, allowing for open, column-free interiors and maximizing usable space on each floor. Each side of the towers had 59 closely spaced, high-strength perimeter columns, resulting in narrow office windows just 18 inches wide. This design not only supported the buildings, but also reflected architect Minoru Yamasaki's fear of heights and his desire to make occupants feel secure. The immense height of the towers presented another challenge. The taller the building, the more space elevators would occupy. Yamasaki addressed this with an innovative solution: the vertical subway system. The Twin Towers featured express and local elevators, with sky lobbies on the 44th and 78th floors. For example, if you were heading to the 100th floor, you'd take an express elevator to the 78th floor, then switch to a local elevator for the final ascent. This innovative system saved valuable space while efficiently moving thousands of people daily. Remember how we mentioned earlier that downtown and midtown were built on bedrock? The World Trade Center site, however, was in water, so the Twin Towers required a unique foundation. A bathtub structure, created by building a slurry wall along West Street, acted as a barrier to keep water from the Hudson River out. The soil excavated from the site, estimated to weigh roughly the same as the towers themselves, was used to create new land on the west side, which later became the foundation for Battery Park City. By the time the towers were completed in 1973, they stood as the tallest buildings in the world, a remarkable feat of engineering and design that redefined the New York City skyline. The World Trade Center complex included 4 smaller buildings constructed throughout the 1970s and early 1980s. Among them, 3 World Trade Center was a 22-story building that housed the Marriott World Trade Center, designed by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill between 1978 and 1979. Buildings 4, 5, and 6 World Trade Center were 8 to 9-story structures designed by Emery Roth and Sons, who also worked on the Twin Towers alongside Minoru Yamasaki. In the mid-1980s, 7 World Trade Center was added just north of the main complex. The 47-story building, designed by Emery Roth and Sons, was constructed atop a Con Edison power substation. At the heart of this complex was the World Trade Center Plaza. It was a place where people could meet, work, and experience the energy of a global city. After the Twin Towers were completed, they struggled with high vacancy rates for years. In the late 1990s, the Port Authority decided to privatize the World Trade Center to alleviate its financial burden and bring the property onto the city's tax rolls. By 2001, bids were coming in from major contenders, including Vornado Realty Trust, a joint bid from Brookfield Properties Corporation and Boston Properties, and another from Silverstein Properties and the Westfield Group. On April 26, 2001, after Vornado Realty Trust withdrew due to disagreements over lease terms, Silverstein's $3.22 billion bid was accepted, with the deal finalized on July 24, 2001. Silverstein secured a 99-year lease from the Port Authority, a contract that would later become crucial in the post-9/11 rebuilding efforts. When the Twin Towers were first completed, they faced significant criticism for their design. Glenn Collins of the New York Times famously remarked, "The sight of those 2 mammoth aluminum-faced slabs is annoyingly familiar. I didn't realize what they reminded me of, however, until I opened a box of staples." Despite such early reactions, massive projects like the World Trade Center often face initial resistance for altering the skyline, only to later be appreciated as they become familiar and integrated into the city's landscape. Over time, the Twin Towers became some of the most recognizable buildings in the world, so iconic that their fame reached everyone, even terrorists who saw them as symbolic targets. September 11, 2001. On the morning of September 11, 2001, the unthinkable happened. The world watched in shock as 2 hijacked planes hit the Twin Towers, bringing them down in a matter of hours. It was a day of tremendous loss, nearly 3,000 lives taken, and a global sense of security shattered. The collapse of the towers didn't just destroy them, it also caused surrounding buildings to fail. The cleanup at the site took 8 months, marking the start of a long road to recovery. Planning to reborn. In the months after the tragedy, New Yorkers found themselves in deep conversations about what should become of the 16-acre site at Ground Zero. What had once been a bustling business hub was now a solemn space, a memorial to those who were lost. As the dust settled, the question of how to rebuild and what to create in its place became a pressing issue. This wasn't just a local matter. Architects and thinkers from around the globe weighed in. Bold, imaginative ideas started pouring in, with concepts showcased in exhibitions and splashed across the pages of magazines, such as New York Times Magazine and New York Magazine. It was a moment where the future of the site became a canvas for some of the most creative minds in the world, each proposing a vision for how to honor the past while looking forward. However, the actual redevelopment of Ground Zero involved three key stakeholders: the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which owns the World Trade Center site; Silverstein Properties, which leased the World Trade Center complex and site from the Port Authority for 99 years, beginning in July 2001, just 2 months before 9/11; and the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation, LMDC, created in November 2001 by New York State and New York City to oversee the distribution of nearly $10 billion in federal funds allocated for the rebuilding master plan. Back in May 2002, architecture firm BBB was picked by the LMDC to come up with a new plan for the World Trade Center site. They rolled out 6 different master plan ideas at a big conference held at the Javits Center. That summer, the event, called Listening to the City, drew in nearly 5,000 New Yorkers and folks from around the area who shared their thoughts on the designs. But, to be honest, BBB's ideas didn't go over well. Most people weren't impressed. So, the LMDC decided to launch an international competition the next month, inviting new master plan proposals. They got over 400 submissions, and by December, 7 finalists were presenting their designs at the newly reopened World Financial Center. Meanwhile, Larry Silverstein from Silverstein Properties contacted the LMDC chair to say he wasn't happy with any of the finalist designs. Since he received the World Trade Center's insurance money, Silverstein claimed he had the right to decide what would be built on the site. He also announced that he had already chosen SOM as his master planner, which led to SOM withdrawing from the LMDC competition. However, since this redevelopment was more than just a private project, it was tied to a national and global tragedy. The LMDC had to involve the public and make sure it met the community's needs. That's why the design competition for the master plan went ahead. Among the 7 finalists, United Architects, led by Greg Lynn, proposed 5 connected towers that created a grand, cathedral-like structure over a public plaza and park. Their design included a living memorial and a city in the sky, linking the towers with gardens and educational spaces. They focused on safety with multiple stairways and refuge areas, while preserving the original World Trade Center footprints as sacred spaces. The proposal by Foster and Partners includes a solemn memorial for 9/11 victims, new public spaces, and the restoration of the neighborhood's street grid. It also proposes a new twinned tower, symbolizing New York's resilience, with advanced safety features, sustainable design, and public amenities. This vision aims to blend remembrance with urban regeneration, creating a lasting tribute to the city's strength and future aspirations. The proposal by the Think team focuses on both honoring the past and revitalizing the future. They envision a global center that celebrates cultural diversity, with the World Cultural Center at its heart. This center would be built around the footprints of the original towers, and include a memorial, a 9/11 museum, and a performing arts center. The design also features eco-friendly elements like wind turbines. Additionally, the plan includes office buildings, a hotel, and retail spaces to help renew Lower Manhattan. Among the 7 finalists, Daniel Libeskin's proposal, titled Memory Foundations, was officially selected by the LMDC as the master plan for the new World Trade Center in February 2003.
And I came by ship through the Statue of Liberty as an immigrant with suitcases, by boat, looking at Manhattan.
His proposal was a deeply symbolic and ambitious design that sought to honor the memory of those lost on September 11th, while also rejuvenating Lower Manhattan. At the heart of Libeskin's proposal was the preservation of the footprints of the original Twin Towers, which would be transformed into a memorial space, allowing visitors to reflect on the tragedy while standing where the towers once stood. The proposal also included a striking new skyscraper, later known as the Freedom Tower, now One World Trade Center, which would rise to a symbolic height of 1,776 feet, commemorating the year of American independence, echoing the gestural form of Lady Liberty holding her torch above her head. The tower's asymmetrical form, with its spire reaching toward the sky, was intended to represent resilience and the enduring spirit of New York City. The master plan emphasized a balance between memorial and renewal, incorporating a mix of cultural, commercial, and public spaces. A series of angular, crystalline buildings were designed to surround the memorial, creating a dynamic urban landscape that encouraged movement and interaction. Libeskind also proposed a Wedge of Light Plaza, aligned with the sun's path on the anniversary of September 11th, symbolizing hope and the passage of time. Overall, Libeskind's Memory Foundation's master plan was a bold and emotionally resonant vision. Although not all of Libeskind's ideas were fully realized, his vision and the strong public support it received ensured that the original footprints of the Twin Towers would be preserved as a memorial, instead of being used for commercial purposes. This decision sparked a long and complex negotiation process, starting with the 2003 agreement where Silverstein Properties gave up its rights to the Twin Towers footprints, in exchange for the ability to build 5 new office towers around the memorial. The negotiations were intricate due to the many stakeholders and challenges involved. The memorial. After Daniel Libeskind's master plan was chosen, the LMDC launched a memorial design competition in April 2003, which drew over 5,000 entries. The winning design, Reflecting Absence by Michael Arad and Peter Walker, features a forest of trees and 2 large reflecting pools, marking the footprints of the Twin Towers. Although it was the only finalist not to follow Libeskind's idea of overhanging buildings, it was selected in January 2004. The design underwent changes, including the removal of memorial galleries, so visitors now experience the memorial from above ground. The museum. Libeskind's plan also included a cultural center, for which Snohetta was selected to design. However, plans for institutions like the International Freedom Center were later dropped due to public concerns. The cultural site now has a pavilion by Snohetta, serving as the entrance to the underground memorial museum, designed by Davis Brody Bond. Evolution of One World Trade Center. One of the key elements in Daniel Libeskind's master plan was the Freedom Tower, now known as One World Trade Center. Initially, Libeskind proposed a 1,776-foot skyscraper called Vertical World Gardens in December 2002. This tower was designed to feature a freestanding spire filled with trees and plants at its upper levels. However, developer Larry Silverstein brought in architect David Childs from SOM, who had a different vision. And then Governor Pataki stepped in, asking David Childs and Daniel Libeskind to work together on the Freedom Tower's design. Their collaboration was difficult, with frequent disagreements, resulting in a compromised design. The final version, revealed in December 2003, featured a twisted glass facade and kept the spire, but made significant changes to Libeskind's original vision to balance his symbolic ideas with Childs' practical concerns. However, security concerns soon took priority over design considerations, as One WTC was recognized as a high-profile target. In 2004, the NYPD raised issues about the tower's vulnerability to car and truck bombs, prompting a significant redesign. In June 2005, David Childs revealed a new design with a 200-foot high cubic base made of blast-resistant material. Above this base, the tower's design became more streamlined, tapering up to the spire, which was reimagined as a broadcast antenna while still reaching the symbolic height of 1,776 feet. By 2006, the World Trade Center redevelopment faced soaring costs, putting pressure on Larry Silverstein. To overcome this, Silverstein and the Port Authority made a pivotal deal. Silverstein gave up his rights to 1 and 5 WTC, letting the Port Authority handle their construction and funding. In return, he got the financial support needed from the Port Authority to develop 2, 3, and 4 WTC. By 2006, 5 years after the 9/11 attacks, most of the redevelopment plans for the World Trade Center site were finalized. The focus shifted to construction, and the entire area became a bustling hub of activity. WTC 2.0. It's amazing to see the World Trade Center thriving again after 23 years of rebuilding. Libeskind's master plan set the tone, but with input from many stakeholders, the design evolved. While Libeskind provided the vision, different architects, mostly hired by Larry Silverstein, brought each building to life. The result is a vibrant mix that honors the original spirit while showcasing diverse contributions. Now, the area pulses with energy, embodying resilience and renewal. One World Trade Center is the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere and the most expensive office building. Opened in 2014, its design features an observatory on floors 100 to 103 and a spire that echoes the gesture of the Statue of Liberty, representing strength and freedom. As of 2024, the building is 95% leased, with its anchor tenant Condé Nast, one of the biggest media publishing companies in the world, known for fashion magazines like Vogue, GQ, and The New Yorker, occupying 20 floors. The current 7 World Trade Center was completed in 2006. It replaced the original one that was destroyed in the 9/11 attacks. David Childs from SOM designed the new tower. It has 52 floors and a modern glass exterior that reflects the nearby buildings. The new building sits on a smaller area than the old one. This allowed space for a small park across the street, helping restore part of Greenwich Street. 7 World Trade Center was the first building completed in the new World Trade Center complex. It had to be rebuilt quickly for 2 main reasons. First, it houses an electrical station that powers the area. Second, Mr. Silverstein, the developer, wanted to rebuild the office space that had been lost. Some people thought he was rushing before there was a plan for the whole area. However, because his lease with the Port Authority for 7 World Trade Center was separate from the rest of the complex, he had the right to move forward, while the rest was awaiting a master plan. Along the east side of the complex, the development of 2 World Trade Center, 3 World Trade Center, and 4 World Trade Center generally follows the framework of Libeskind's master plan but was designed by other architects hired by Larry Silverstein. 4 World Trade Center, completed in 2013, was designed by Japanese architect Fumihiko Maki. The 72-story building features a minimalist, elegant design with a glass facade that reflects the surrounding cityscape. It houses both retail space and office space, and serves as the headquarters for Spotify and the Port Authority. 3 World Trade Center, completed in 2018, was designed by British architect Richard Rogers. The 80-story building features a distinctive design characterized by an exposed steel exoskeleton and a glass facade, which creates a modern and dynamic appearance. The building offers both office and retail space and is known for its flexible open floor plans. Its tenants include Uber and McKinsey & Company. As for 2 World Trade Center, it is one of the last 2 unbuilt towers in the complex. Following Libeskind's master plan in 2003, the original design for 2 WTC was created by Foster & Partners in 2006. It had a distinctive diamond-shaped top and was meant for financial firms that were expected to occupy the building. However, after only constructing the base, which housed mechanical systems for the Oculus, work stopped in 2012 due to a lack of anchor tenants and the changing needs of new tech and media companies. In 2015, Mr. Silverstein scrapped the original design because potential key tenants, 21st Century Fox and News Corp, felt the building was more suited for an investment bank than for a modern media company. Bjarke Ingels was then brought in to create a new design tailored for these companies, featuring step terraces, green spaces, and open workspaces. The plan aimed to foster collaboration, with large stairwells connecting double-height communal spaces that enhanced connectivity between departments and amenities. Unfortunately, after 21st Century Fox and News Corp pulled out, the project faced further delays. In 2022, new renderings revealed a refreshed design for 2 WTC by Norman Foster. This updated version shows the tower with floor-to-ceiling glass and horizontal metal strips between each floor. It also includes multiple landscaped setbacks along the eastern side, facing Church Street and St. Paul's Chapel, with pocketed terraces on all 4 sides, likely intended as office amenities, offering views of Lower Manhattan. Despite these updates, the construction of 2 World Trade Center is still on hold, mainly because they need a major tenant to sign on, which has been difficult due to competition from other big projects like Hudson Yards. However, Silverstein Properties is now in talks with American Express, which could become the key tenant needed to move the project forward. 5 World Trade Center is one of the 2 unbuilt towers in the complex. The site used to have a 39-story building that was badly damaged in the September 11th attacks. That building was later bought by the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation and torn down. In 2007, JP Morgan planned to build a 42-story office tower there. But in 2008, JP Morgan changed their mind and decided to move to Midtown instead, where they are now building a new 60-story global headquarters. Fast forward to 2021, a new proposal for 5 WTC as a residential building was introduced. The proposal, created by KPF, is being developed through a partnership between Silverstein Properties and Brookfield Properties, selected by the LMDC and Port Authority. The project includes 1,200 apartments, with 400 set aside as affordable housing. Of those, 80 apartments will be reserved for people who lived or worked in Lower Manhattan during the 9/11 attacks. The building will also have spaces for offices, stores, and amenities for residents. Just north of 5 World Trade Center, the St. Nicholas National Shrine, which was destroyed in the 9/11 attacks, was rebuilt as St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church. Designed by Santiago Calatrava, the church features a dome and glowing marble exterior, symbolizing hope and resilience. Completed in 2022, it stands as a place of worship and reflection. The Perlman Performing Arts Center, Park NYC, was part of the master plan by Daniel Libeskind. Initially, in 2004, well-known architects Frank Gehry and Snohetta were chosen to design the building. However, the project faced delays and the design changed direction in 2014. The final design, created by the architecture firm Rex, features a glowing marble and glass exterior that makes Park NYC stand out as a unique landmark. Officially opened in 2023, the center hosts a wide variety of performing arts, including theater, dance, music, and film. Its interior can be easily adjusted to fit different types of performances, making it one of the most flexible venues in the city. Covering 8 acres, the National September 11th Memorial and Museum is a solemn tribute to the nearly 3,000 victims of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks, as well as the 6 individuals who lost their lives in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. The memorial, known as Reflecting Absence, features 2 large reflecting pools, each sunken 30 feet into the ground, set within the footprints of the original Twin Towers. These pools are framed by the largest man-made waterfalls in the United States, designed to mute the sounds of the city and create a contemplative sanctuary. Beneath the Memorial Plaza is the 9/11 Museum. Visitors enter through a pavilion above ground and make their way downstairs and ramps to the lower level. There they discover a large collection of artifacts, photographs, and personal stories that provide a deeper understanding of the events of September 11th. The museum offers a moving and emotional experience, covering the attacks, their aftermath, and their lasting impact on the world. A standout feature is a section of the slurry wall, which held back the Hudson River for the World Trade Center site. It remained intact after the attacks, symbolizing resilience and strength. As visitors ascend from the lower level of the museum, they pass by the remains of the tridents, once part of the Twin Towers, still standing tall and illuminated by sunlight. The Oculus, also known as the World Trade Center Transportation Hub, is a major infrastructure project in Lower Manhattan. The only part of the Oculus above ground is its stunning steel and glass structure. Designed by renowned architect Santiago Calatrava, the hub officially opened in 2016 and is instantly recognizable for its striking, futuristic design, featuring a winged roof that resembles a bird in flight. At ground level, visitors enter through the southeast entrance and descend to the mezzanine, where they can admire the sunlight-filled atrium, offering a peaceful moment in the busy city. Exiting through the northwest gate, they are greeted by views of the PEC NYC and the Tree Field Memorial Site. Below ground, the Oculus connects with the Fulton Center on its east side, linking all the subway lines that run through the financial district. The PATH station, located beneath the memorial site, serves as a vital connection between Manhattan and New Jersey, supporting the daily commute for thousands of people. Additionally, through an underground concourse, the Oculus provides seamless connections to several buildings at the World Trade Center site, Brookfield Place in Battery Park City, and to the west, the ferry terminal at the Hudson River, enhancing the area's overall integration and accessibility. With its extensive network of connections, the Oculus plays a crucial role in linking Lower Manhattan to the rest of the city and New Jersey. Beyond its role as a transportation hub, the Oculus is also a lively commercial center, offering a variety of shops, restaurants, and public spaces. It plays a key part in the economic growth and revitalization of Lower Manhattan. The construction of the Oculus came with a hefty price tag, making it one of the most expensive transportation projects in US history. The final cost surpassed $4 billion, a reflection of its ambitious design and the complex engineering challenges of building at the World Trade Center site. Despite its high cost, the Oculus stands as a symbol of architectural innovation and serves as a vital infrastructure asset, connecting people and communities across the region. From the towering skyscrapers to the tranquil memorial and the bustling Oculus, each element of the complex not only honors the past but also embraces the future. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the places that shape our world.